Hello, how is everyone doing? It is your fallen angel, back with another video. Today, we are going over Big 5 personality traits, neuroticism. Now, we'll go over the myths and facts of neuroticism, as well as a couple additional information that I'd like to talk on specifically. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. Neuroticism can be thought of as a person's propensity to experience negative emotions, particularly sadness and fear. This is an inverse relationship between neuroticism and stress tolerance. To have a high stress tolerance is to rank low on neuroticism. So let's just break that down real quick. If you have high stress tolerance and you can deal with plethora of things, emotions, that means you will rank low on neuroticism. If you have low stress tolerance and little things make you anxious, little things make you scared, little things make you worrisome, irritable, angry, then you're high on the neurotic scale. So we usually understand that women are higher on the neurotic scale because of estrogen and because of this stress hormone called cortisol, which is not being suppressed due to testosterone, as well as the limbic system is also in play, as well as the right hemisphere brain is also in play. So with all three in play, neuroticism is usually higher in women. This is not to say that there is women that are low on the neurotic scale. There's plenty that are like that, but for the most part, they rank higher on the neurotic scale. There is also men that are high on the neurotic scale as well. There is duality to everything. So every person has a finite stress tolerance, and when they hit its limit, they will either panic with fear or explode in anger. I want to just express something real quick. Usually anger or angry outbursts. Anger and these angry outbursts is the secondary emotion. Fear is usually the primary emotion. They're usually scared of something. Scared of being judged, scared of the outcome, scared of something that is in the way. That is why fear is the primary outlier. Anger is just a projection of this fear. This is their way to show you that they're not scared. It's a facade, right? It's like a very small dog barking, but it knows it's actually scared. So that's why it keeps barking, because it needs to protect itself, right? It needs to show no fear. Even if you saw a wolf with its teeth out and it has tears coming down, it still has to have its teeth out because it has to show you that it isn't scared, right? So we understand that fear is the primary emotion and anger is the secondary emotion. Anger and fear are two sides of the same coin. They are both driven by stress. Yes, so the amygdala also plays a factor in this, right? The amygdala is going to tell you whether fight or flight should kick in. So when you're high on the neurotic scale, the amygdala is always working, right? This is why we don't see that many psychopaths that are women, because they are usually highly neurotic. Therefore, they wouldn't be able to just suppress this amygdala. Usually in geniuses, psychopaths, and autistics, they can numb out this amygdala, right? That doesn't exist for them. There's no fight or flight because they aren't scared. That's just how it goes. Can you be trained to do that as well? Of course, you could be trained to do anything. Feel free to check out trance videos on this channel as well if you want to learn how to do anything in this cosmos. Men average slightly lower on neuroticism than women, and this is seen to be due to the fact that men have higher testosterone. It seems to be that case that having high testosterone levels suppresses neuroticism, the specific biochemical mechanism being that testosterone suppresses the stress hormone cortisol. So higher testosterone can suppress cortisol because that's just what testosterone does. Testosterone is like a brick by brick system that is trying to get you to the final finish line. It's trying to make sure that you can complete a task without ever having to. It's like tunnel vision focus, right? It wants to make sure you complete the task. That's what testosterone also does, is to make sure that you complete a task. Whatever the task may be, it's like tunnel vision and you're locked in. Now with estrogen in the right hemisphere brain, it works in like a Fibonacci loop, right? It's sort of not this brick by brick pattern, it's sort of a loop like pattern. That's what it happens when you're higher or lower on the cortisol or the neurotic scale. As with agreeableness, a slight difference in the average leads to huge differences at the extremes. Amongst people who have incredibly high stress tolerance, extremely low neuroticism, almost all of them are men. Amongst people who have a very low stress tolerance, anxiety disorders, almost all of them are women. So, what we need to understand is, for the most part, a lot of pharmaceutical companies are benefiting off this natural reaction. Naturally, women are higher on the neurotic scale. They become anxious naturally because they're highly neurotic and they're social butterflies, but they get neurotic during social situations. So they get scared, they get fearful, they get angry, because of the neurotic scale being higher. But this is natural when you have estrogen in the right hemisphere brain. But the pharmaceutical companies don't want you to know that. They want to treat it like it's something wrong, right? They treat it like it's a bad thing to be anxious. So they specifically give you drugs like this, escitalopram and things like this, to make it seem like you can numb this effect. But this drug does not do anything. It's nothing more than placebo. But don't take my word for it. I'm not a doctor, but for the most part, this is not something that will help in changing neuroticism, right? A drug like this cannot change neuroticism. Neuroticism is natural between the sexes. So it could be differentiated between anybody, but for the most part, neuroticism is natural. Many mistakenly attribute anger to low agreeableness when the real culprit is high neuroticism. Many mistakenly attribute being nervous about social interactions to low extroversion, being introverted, when the real culprit is high neuroticism. Anger and anxiety surrounding social interactions are both driven by high neuroticism, not a lack of agreeableness or extroversion. So, when you're higher on the neurotic scale, this is when you feel these times of negative emotions force these type of situations. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not agreeable or that you lack extroversion. It's just high neuroticism is the culprit for this anger and anxiety. It's not these other two, right? For even if you had the other two, most women will still be neurotic to some degree. So guys, this was just a short video going over neuroticism and how it differentiates in the sexes. So for the most part, when we think of this, we have to understand that neuroticism is the true culprit, right? It's about anxiety, vulnerability, hostility, depression, impulsiveness. This is what being neurotic, higher on the neurotic scale is. Now we understand that women are usually highly agreeable and highly neurotic, right? That's usually how it goes. Men, on the other hand, the ideal would be to be low on agreeableness and low on the neurotic scale, because this will mean you would have higher stress tolerance and ability to just push factor, right? We went over this in one of our intelligence videos, right? We understand that higher IQs usually are determined by also lower neurotic scales, because you can go through stress quite easily, right? It doesn't bother you, right? And you're not looking to necessarily cater to any egos or any feelings, right? We're not dealing with the higher F with the limbic system. We're just kind of flowing with the neocortex. That's why many autists do not engage as social butterflies, right? Because they're not looking to cater to ego. But for the most part, this is just a video going over neuroticism and how it differentiates between the sexes. Feel free to like and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below. Feel free to check us out on Patreon, Rumble, Twitter, Instagram, things of that nature. This has been your fallen angel, and I am out.